Hey folks, it's PatriotNurse, and in today's segment I'm here with MainePrepper again.
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for showing up.
What we're going to do in the next few segments is address some frequently asked questions that we get from our subscribers and from our viewers. And we got a few, but this one we get a lot, which is, when is the stuff going to hit the fan? When will the poop hit the fan? And I'll let you take that from there. This is a very relaxed, conversational-like video. This is us having a discussion. We haven't even pre-gamed this or anything, so
yes.
Go.
The offhand joking remark is tomorrow at 3:30. But in reality, no one can peg it exactly. And that's why we have to make the most of the time that we have at hand and do everything that we can to be prepared. I recommend in one of my videos about preparing, and you prepare in concentric circles. That is, you figure out everything you would need to survive for 3 days, and then you set that up. And then when you got 3 days worth of everything you need to survive, you expand to a week. And then when you get a week, you go to 2 weeks, and you work out from there.
Mm-hmm. From my end of the spectrum, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, we could sit here, I could give you a cop-out and say, nobody knows when it's going to hit the fan. Nobody really knows, which, yeah, that's true. But I think there are some prime indicators. The first, from my end, would be extreme market volatility. When you see these major swings in the market up and down and up and down, a volatile market is an inherently unstable market. It also is betraying some of the major shifts that are happening between people who hold a lot of goods and a lot of stake in different companies. So when you're seeing these massive swings, it's like a bridge. Like I'm thinking of like a
teeter-totter.
Yeah,
yes.
A teeter-totter bridge when it goes
yep.
like that.
Pendulum swings.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking of. So when you start to see that, that's a major indicator. We I want to say about 14 months ago, we started having some major swings, and it's kind of leveled off a little bit. But I think that it's pretty reasonable to assume that we are going to be experiencing a false recovery. I think right now it's fair to say we're in a false recovery because of all this fake money that's been printed. Because of the increase in money supply, it has the facade of an increase of wealth and subsequently the facade of an increased instability. But you can only get away with that for so long, I think, before you're going to have a major check.
There's some very lopsided profit taking. I have a friend that's a Series 7 stockbroker, and he tells me, look, he says, don't believe all this malarkey about when businesses say, well, we have to lay people off, we have to cut wages. Let me ask you this. Have your prices on anything you buy gone down?
No.
No. And secondly, it's a lie. And what they're doing is they're using this as an excuse to raid pension funds and to lay people off and to restructure companies and to sell their assets. Corporate profits are actually on the increase and on the rise. And this is for my friend that's a stockbroker, and he tracks these things. That's his job to do this.
I had one of my students in one of my classes. He was the dean of a major school of finance in Eastern educational institution. And he was saying the exact same thing. And I asked him, I said, so, person to person here, thinking person to thinking person, is it really as bad as people say? And he looks at me, we're actually eating dinner at the time, he goes, it's worse than what you can imagine. I'm like, ooh, nice. So I don't know if we can necessarily ascribe a certain timetable, but when is the poop going to hit the fan? Looking down.
I see the ship is sinking, is one way to look at it. And right now, everybody's running for the lifeboats, and some people already have their lifeboats reserved, and they're just making sure they load up all the treasure they can get on it. The rest of the folks out here, we're still down below decks trying to figure out how to get out and get up to the lifeboats so that we can escape when the ship is sinking. But I think there are folks that already see the ship is sinking, and they're just grabbing all they can before the boat goes down. And that's going to accelerate the process at some point. But they also have to keep the facade up for everybody else that everything's okay, just go back to sleep, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest here, my area of expertise is medicine. It's not in market analysis. I'm a pretty intelligent individual, and I can gather a lot of different analysis from different areas. I don't know that anybody knows for sure, but it's sort of like, I kind of look at our economy and our country as a patient, as one of my patients. And I'm looking at the vital signs here. I'm like, ooh, that blood pressure spiked and now it's dropped. And now we've got a widening. This doesn't look so good. We've got a fever too. Heart rate's going up. Not sure I like this. It's kind of what it's like for me. I'm looking at the vital signs of our economy and of our country, and I'm not feeling particularly reassured at this time. And a lot of it is I think, a feeling. A lot of people send me messages, pardon the road, whatever type of saw it is. Circular saw, probably? Yes, we've determined it's
Black & Decker,
Black & Decker red.
Dull blade. He's cutting through 3/4 inch plywood, and he's a right-handed. Oh, I'm sorry. Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
We need to insert pipe here right now. Anyway, so I think a lot of the perception of when things are going to go down is based on feeling. It is based on emotion, and markets do react to that historically. But I think it's probably more than that, because I don't believe it's just a market thing. There are also many things globally going on. We have you can probably speak to this, we have our military spread further apart than ever in our country's history.
Yes.
With a lot of disturbance on the home front, certainly. We have our men and women who are coming back from being deployed overseas, but they're coming back to a really crappy economy with not very good jobs. And that right there, that puts a wrench into the mix too, because you have people who are strung out away from their families far from overseas, and then they come back, and where are the employment opportunities? So that's part of it too. Yeah. Anything else that you can think about as to like a timetable or a vital sign or a shift that you'd be looking for?
No, but I think this would be a good place to insert what we would consider to be some good sound advice of what to do with your assets and your resources and your money. The first one I can think of is
coffee. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
The first thing, coffee, good. The first thing I can think of is to get your money away from the Wall Streeters and the people that are going to take your money and gamble with it, and invest your money in things that are durable goods and things that you have control over, to get control over your wealth, to make sure that somebody else can't take it. Concurrent with that, I'll tell people, look, what are some things that you know you're going to use? You know you're going to eat food, okay? So if you want to, and you have a little bit of extra money and you're afraid of leaving it in the market, start buying things that make your self-sufficiency more possible, that make your lifestyle more sustainable. Food is a good thing to start with. Start looking at ways to get out of debt. You may say, well, if the economy crashes, I'm not going to worry about debt. Let me tell you something. Many times what happens is the people that own the debt, they'll make sure that if the economy crashes, they control enough of the government to squeeze you dry.
They'll get paid.
That's right. What happened during the Depression? Many people, such as my family, had a farm and they couldn't make the payments. Well, the bank was not open to pay people money it owed them, but by golly, it was open to go out and collect and take people's farms away from them. And so a lot of people lost their homes and their farms during this period. Remember, during a depression or any time money, you have something like that, an upheaval, wealth is not destroyed. Wealth is transferred.
Yes.
It goes from one person to another.
It's
the people that steal it want to make you think it just disappeared. But if you look a little closer, it went somewhere else.
Yep.
The way financial markets run, I think we were looking at this the other day and we were going, my God, how can you figure out all of these trading on shorts and longs? And it's complicated. It's the most esoteric math problem you can possibly dream of. And there was a fellow who was exposing some sort of major fraud, and he had exposed some major fraud going on in the banks, and they did nothing about it because the banks have bought off the government. They have bribed the politicians who have appointed regulators who are employees of the bank that they're supposed to be watching. So it's like we have hired the criminals or the people, the convicts in prison, to guard the prison. At some point, we have things out of control. Yeah. So get your money away from these people. They're out of control, and just because they're wearing a suit and a tie doesn't mean they're less criminal.
Something to add to that, when I went to the Money Show in Las Vegas, it was an economic summit with Peter Schiff, Axel Merck, a whole bunch of different other people, Bulls versus Bears panel. And I was in the Bull versus Bear panel, and Axel Merck, he owns a company that trades in commodities, precious metals, etc. and currency specifically. And so the Bulls versus Bear panel was up there. Peter Schiff and Axel Merker on the Bear end. The Bulls are, doing their thing. And the subject of lack of transparency with financial regulation, and also the Federal Reserve and monetary screwing around that's going on there. The Bulls panel had fired back at the Bears, and they said, hey, these are the brightest minds of the day. What are you really worried about? And Axel Merk, who is, I believe he's German, he said, look, I'm German. The Weimar Republic was run by the best minds of the day. That bank was run by the best minds of the day. And I remember sitting there in front of him thinking, that's a darn good point, sir. That's a pretty good point. So whether it is in 5 months or 5 years or 50, I think it behooves us who are forward-thinking, the people who have a mind to take care of their families and during difficult times, to be ready, to be diversified. Diversification, regardless of how you want to slice it, pardon the term of the pie here, regardless of how you want to slice it, not having all your eggs in one basket is a very, very wise thing.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So regardless of when it comes, be ready by having strategic placement of your assets and of your preps for sure. So thank you so much, MainePrepper, for being here and for discussing when the poop will hit the fan.
And this leads up to probably the next question we'll have, which will be a following video. We're going to talk about what do we think is going to be the condition that brings about a without rule of law or some sort of a collapse.
Yep, the powder keg. So stay tuned for that next video. If you enjoyed the video today, please subscribe to me, PatriotNurse, and also please subscribe to MainePrepper.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. And for now, it's PatriotNurse.
And the MainePrepper saying, long live the Republic.
We're signing off, and we'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.